I do think we might have map bans coming up soon as well for you all to see. No? Yes, please,
Ooh,
Mr. Producer Man, can we see the map bans?
we're getting
There we
teased. We're
go.
getting
We're getting
teased.
teased. Teased in our ears by our producer right now. So yeah, Novi, talk us through that.
Aw, I was so looking forward to tonight, and you just giving me Oregon. I want to. What I may as well just sleep. I may as well just no. I mean, it's
Snoring on.
I say that, but then again, every time Oregon's always like giga close anyway. So I mean, it's one of those cases where for Randy, hey, this is our comfort pick. This is what we practice. We've seen them play it before. We can try and counter strat and be the ones trying to set the tempo. I think for Nemesis, if they just try and play Randy's game, it's going to be a snooze fest. If they try and play their own game and force Randy's to catch up to them, then we should have a real good game on our hands.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. And again, Nemesis have been, again, especially last week, they've been really trying to put in the work and really showing what they're made of. And some of these games thus far have been incredibly close with them, and they have been getting those rounds in the bag as well. It's not like they're coming in and just getting thrown about like ragdolls. They're really putting up a fight when it comes down to it. And again, Randy's, I will say, Randy's look a lot stronger, certainly the last 2 weeks. They came in a little bit rocky, and I was a little bit from what I know, again, that the players are capable of, it was a little bit like, "Ooh, what's going on there? Like, is everything okay?" kind of thing. Like, do they just need to fine tune things? And it seems like they're starting to fine tune things now. So again, this could be a completely stacked up Randys tonight, and perhaps there would be something that would surprise Nemesis because they'll just bring something completely different to a table. They'll bring this massive amount of ferociousness, be nice to get my words out, and aggression to the table. Especially when it comes to a map like Oregon, which, as I say so often, it is kind of like the new clubhouse, and everyone knows it like the back of their hand. Everyone knows every single nook and cranny. Everyone knows these nice little, especially areas of verticality that you can use. Certainly, if you're going to the ground and top floor. Obviously, not with the basement. There is no vertical use there, but at the same time, it's the talking about that having that two-dimensional attack in that bottom floor, so you're not just kind of doing a conga line to your death. So there's some things that I pretty much want to be looking out for myself personally.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's that a team like Randy's. There's some gunners on it,
Hmm.
and which is fine. That's manageable because a better team will win 9 times out of 10 because you can't just keep clutching out gunfights. It's very rare that that happens. But with gunners, what happens is if they get confident, then they go from taking, I don't know, like 50-50 gunfights, and they'll start taking 30-70 with so much confidence that you won't see it coming. They'll swing you anyway, and then they'll
Mm.
beat you. And it just snowballs. And I seem to remember Amy Lee being absolutely incredible on Ash on the entry, just running, being like, "What? Why is she here? This shouldn't be allowed. Get back out the building and give them another 30 seconds to prepare." Like,
Mm.
and that's one of those cases of, okay, well, that worked. I'm going to see how far I can push that advantage. Even all the way up, we see in pro players with the really explosive, like type players, like Doki always comes to mind. He gets one little crack in the armor,
Yeah.
and then suddenly he's won the round. Like it's just over. And
Mm.
Amy Lee for me was like that, just explosive in nature.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point to make, and I do think, to be honest, personally, I do like it when people go a little bit more direct. They go immediately for the jugular, but I can be quite old-fashioned, and I do prefer the more, let's get the map control, push some of the roamers back or kill them, get that set up around site, go for the collapse. Jobs are good in. I am very old-fashioned with that. I do apologize, but no, I think again, you've got players like Toxic Barbie who we have seen go on a significant tear when it comes to that roam game as well. So that's going to be quite interesting to keep an eye on this evening. And I do believe we are going to get right stuck in. Went a little bit Bristolian then, Novi.
Little bit Bristolian.
Let's get let's get right stuck in. All right, me lovers, let's get stuck into the match.
All the
Gonna go.
Europeans are just not going to understand
It's
that
gonna be like,
whatsoever.
what are they saying? What are these crazy British people saying right now? Uh, Getting stuck into these bands, then you know what? I'm just gonna say it's gonna be the old Thatcher. There we are. That's what we like to see. Again, very standard by the book ban there, which you do kind of expect it, really. You do kind of expect it. And will we see the Maverick ban here now? No, we're going to see a Zofia, which is quite interesting. I don't know how I feel about that one, to be honest. Maybe, yes, indeed, that would be a target ban, Novi, but at the same time, since the significant nerfs to Zofia, we are kind of seeing people play more of an Iana Ash situation. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. And a Vigil ban on defense as well. That is a bit of a. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about that ban either, because I'd prefer more of a focus on utility, I think. You know, so like your Wemais or even some Intel, maybe even a Kaid, something like that. But the mirror's being banned as well. So Kaid is indeed on the table. RANDYS will be going into this offense with Kaid. Novi, what do you make of those apples?
Weird apples. I might send them back. Like, I was like, why have you given me apples? These aren't apples, they're oranges. Like, so what, why? All right. I was thinking I can pass on the Zofia ban. I can pass on that because Nemesis is starting attack, and it may be a case of, well, we don't want to ban any of the OPs because we want to play them. All right.
Mm,
So we'll just ban something that we're not going to play, which we know could be a comfort pick for you. The
mm,
Vigil ban, though, to me makes no sense because out of
mm,
all the operators you could ban which affect your team, your composition,
mm.
Vigil is like that one. It's an operator which can kind of just play solo on its own.
But
And
this,
kind of just ignore it.
This is it, right, Novi. So, okay, I have a little pet peeve about this. I speak to Dino about this a lot, and Dino also agrees with me. But don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure he does. If you bring a Vigil as a roamer, that is fair enough. But also at the same time, if that operator dies, you have no utility that your team can use after your death. I prefer people going a bit more old-fashioned with the roam game. And I know it's me being, again, very old-fashioned, but yes, Vigil is a 3-speed, but it's okay to have a 2-speed if you're leaving behind utility if you die. So I do feel that ban is a little bit wasted on the basis of, would people realistically be using Vigil that much? Is Vigil even that impactful? Because once you've got that opening pick onto the roamer of Vigil, again, what use is that to the other team? What use is that to the team? And they've just left, you know, Wamais, Maestros, Yokais. Significantly, I want to point out Yokais, because remember, we have had some upsets on this map because of those Yokai drones, Novi.
Yep. No, that's true. We've seen Echo come in, not all the time. I think it's one of those operators which is very dependent on the player. The player has to like it to be able to pick it up. I mean, if you wanted to ban a Roma, which also brings utility, a Rooney would have been perfect. Absolutely perfect. Like, has the soft instructions, so can make her own routes through, is pretty fast, great gun, is an absolute fragger. Get her out of the equation, and also it helps the whole utility dump thing as well. Lua with a very close angle on the elbow.
Yes. Yes, indeed. That's, again, a little bit hot and spicy for Lua to be extending so much past that normal elbow area, but perhaps it's just so she can get a better chance of lobbing out some of those toxic babes. We're going to see a C4 get used against the hatch, but it doesn't quite manage to do any damage. So far, relatively so start to understand, but it does look like Nemesis are going for a pretty standard take here. They're going to get that upstairs, get those hatches, apply that pressure to Big Tower, and start applying pressure around Blue and Elbow. But Lua is being so bulky with it around here. Like, she is fully letting Rice Bowl Chen that she is here and waiting for her. If she makes a tiny mistake, there's an SMG-11 and a shotgun ready and waiting for her. Merry Christmas.
And it's actually pushed Rice Bowl Chen off the angle. Like, can't contest it. It's almost like the smoke is so aggressive. It's like, wait, I do not know what she's going to do. I'm just going to back off and leave it. It's safer. And that works in Smoke's favor. No toxic base has to be used. And there we go. The first of the P10 Roni kills. How many are we going to see today? Followed by Amy Lee as well. One player is down for RANDYS, but it doesn't really matter. The Mozzie's going to get picked up. And just like that, Nemesis down 2 players.
Absolutely, down 2 players, and they've got 40 seconds on the clock to try and get a nice setup around the site, apply pressure, and try and go for the plant. Kerrigan, however, waiting in this very sneaky spot in Classroom. Not sure if she's aware that Shashi has actually moved now, and yes, no, last minute, she does manage to take that angle, but Sashi gets to pick off anyway. Vidalia is going to get the pick onto Lua as well. Lua getting punished for her aggression with a nice cheeky claymore to the feet.
Okay, and the advantage that Randy's managed to set up for themselves is suddenly dissipated slightly, but with 20 seconds, we've still got a lot of things going for them. There we go. The Sharia Gate goes down. Nice headshot to Shashi. Maggie just holding on with the angle on the Kaid. Follows through into another one. It's just Toxic Barbie. Last one left. Amy Lee shuts that one down, and there we go. Randy's first round. A little bit sloppy there, maybe with the claymores, but otherwise a pretty clean round, actually, I felt, from Randy's.
Yeah, I'll say that that would have looked a lot stronger. I just think certain people got a little bit kill hungry there, and they were trying to apply more aggression when it needn't be there. If they just held on to where they were nicely firmly sat, with a nice bit of early round aggression, that could have been quite difficult. Lua, I'm looking at you, you little kill goblin. Yeah. I know 100% what happened there. Lua got hungry for the kill and she wanted to pad out those KD stats and she just went flying into a claymore. We all do it. We all do it. I respect it. I respect it. Respect the drip, Novi. Respect the drip.
Nah, you got to respect where when respecting you, and of course that is one of those scenarios where you just went for the play. Might not have worked out, but still went for it. No regrets. I've seen far dumber mistakes by far more experienced players. So like I wouldn't be like I'm not gonna hold it against anyone. And also I've probably done more stupid stuff anyway. So I've run into a claymore, like you said, a time or two, maybe, probably 3 or 4 or 5. But a different lineup. Bring it back to this round rather than last round. They've got the Valkyrie, which I'm a huge fan of, and again, a ban that could have been banned, like an operator, like that is so strong, especially on this specific site. It is just a monster to deal with, because if you get a black eye which goes outside unnoticed, you can have runouts galore. You can have free reign of everything on the map.
Do you know what? This is it. Like, even we saw Lua going into the spawn peak just now, and it's interesting that you mentioned earlier about Amy Lee being almost like the Doki of their lineup, because it's reminding me kind of a little bit of how Na'Vi go into Yukin. Like, just hanging out the windows, running out of doors, all kinds of ridiculous levels of aggression at all times. No payoff yet, though. Amy Lee is going to get the pick onto Expolitan, though, but she's going to take a significant amount of health for it, Novi.
Okay, so that was around Attic, ducked down out of the hatch. And there's another one. Maverick taken down. Okay, so Nemesis, you have Attic open. You've lost 2 players. What else? What else can you do in this situation? And you can see it's been almost given up, because they've looked at it and gone, there's an Aruni down there. We saw a Jaeger as well. There's probably a third. You probably can't contest that. And what is...
Oh.
Oh, no.
No, the Rightful Chen making their way into the bedroom area, but there is Maggie waiting for them, and... Well, actually, Maggie's going to fall to them first. There's going to be a bit of a trade-off there between the two of them, but I think there is actually another player lurking around in the depths somewhere there as well. So again, this is going to be a very difficult push to do. Both support operators having to find their way into a pitch there, but no. Rightful Chen is going to get it down to Amy Lee. It's going to be a little bit of breathing room, but again, they are significantly, well, I say significantly outnumbered. Not that much outnumbered, well, now they are. And most certainly, Sashi in a 1v3, because Amy Lee has indeed been picked up, and there we go. There's that Ella Grismont that's going to let them know exactly where she is. The pre-fires are going to come through like there's no tomorrow. There we are.
There we go. I mean, I'm never usually a fan of if you're outnumbered splitting up in that kind of scenario. I feel like it's always usually better to stick together if possible, because then you can play off your teammate. However, Nemesis did a really good job of trying to capitalize on Randy's over aggression. Like the Jaeger should not have swung that angle. You didn't need to. It was sort of like slightly unnecessary pushes and advances, and the Nemesis remaining attackers did a really, really nice job of just going, all right, you're going to run into my crosshair, I'm going to punish you. Like, you're not going to get away with this for free. Like, no chance. So nicely done by Nemesis, but again, it's a little bit too late. It feels like Randy's is setting the tempo, Nemesis is just trying not to trip up on the dance floor.
I'm gonna fight against that, because I do think there's been some really good shots from Nemesis. Certainly, perhaps the setup is slightly lacking at the moment, but there have been some really nice takedowns that they have, reacted perfectly to the kind of aggression that's coming at them thus far. I am going to glaze over the fact that Randy's have chosen to go to kitchen dining. I'm not even going to get started on that one. I feel like
Sin counter is starting.
All of the audience are fed up with me ranting about that at this point. Everyone and their nan is fed up with me ranting about that at this point. So let's see how they do with this. Very simply easy to take site, in my opinion. But we'll, again, see how they get on. Maggie is on the room upstairs on that Oryx, though, so that's going to be quite an interesting one as well. Obviously, with Oryx, you have the ability to go up and down hatches, so even if Maggie chooses to fall down and help her teammates, she can always make her way back upstairs, should she wish.
Very trap heavy, isn't it? Like Frost and Cat can, then plus, I mean, they're not quite traps, but essentially traps for drones with the Mozzie Pests. Like, there's a lot of things to consider there. Okay, that's just kind of unfortunate. I guess there's so many angles, and it's when you're trying to drone yourself in, like there's not enough time. But that is unfortunate. It feels like something that probably should have been checked, or at least close enough. Or it could have just been really, really good timing on Golden's part. But there we go. Nemesis falling a first member again in the third round, starting it off with a deficit.
Yeah, but again, they've still got that thermite on the table. They've still got a sledge and book for verticality if they do want to take the top floor. But this is I suppose this is the interesting thing to me at the moment, Novi, because they brought this verticality, they brought the soft destruction with the buck and the sledge, but they're not immediately going for the jugular upstairs, when realistically, I think that's exactly where this attack should have started. They should be going upstairs, getting aggressive, pushing together, getting that completely cleared, because they've got the utility there to then apply that pressure from above, maybe do a little collapse into kitchen from back if they need to. Gosh, I hate this site so much. I can't. Like, it just infuriates me. But, moving swiftly on, we're going to potentially see a bit of a interesting moment here as Amy Lee's about to use that grenade to her advantage. But no! Regalia, with the reflexes, managing to spin enough to take down Amy Lee before she can cause any kind of cheeky upset with that kind of play, to be honest. A little bit naughty, Novi. Lou's going to get the pick onto Rise Ball Chen. It's now a 4v3. Well, make that a 3v2. That happened very quickly. Both teams were whittling down their enemy more and more as time goes on. And speaking of time, there's only 30 seconds on the clock. And there we go. Lou is going to take down Toxic Barbie as she makes her approach to try and find that diffuser. Tri-Baton, finishing it off with a nice little final pick there. Randy's yet another round on the board.
Yeah. Randy's coming in swinging. Nemesis really not able to hold a candle up to it. Just feels like Randy's control, even if they are picking the sinful site. But they're going back down to the basement. I quite like their basement hold. Lua was the hyper-aggressive X Factor, which was applying a lot of pressure. I'm wondering, how does Nemesis adapt their approach compared to last time? Because last time they were kind of split spread. I think they ended up going towards Freezer because they're dissuaded because of Lua just sprinting around elbow, just being a menace. So I'm interested if Nemesis go, okay, all right, well, we know how the smoke's going to play. She's going to get a little bit irritated at some point and is going to go aggressive. Oh, wait, hold on a second. It's not basement.
No, they've
Okay.
gone, which again, significantly easier to defend than that previous site.
Is it just to are they listening to you at no god? Okay, well, we're gonna go
Maybe they are,
kitchen
maybe.
meeting just to really irritate you, and then we're
Sending
gonna
my brainwaves to them, being like, "Why, guy, order?" They've gone fine. We'll go meeting kitchen. But yeah, again, Novi. This is the thing, right? This site is so much easier to defend. It's so much easier to defend. They cannot do anything if you're holding this site. Again, you're going to take so much control upstairs. You're going to have the attic blown out. If they try and go for the stage push, they have to get full top floor control because they have to get that attic control, or you're just going to rain death on them from above. Again, you want that hard breach for the rear stage wall. You want that hard breach for the attic wall. You can also do a second dimension through the front as well, but 9 times out of 10, if people are above, there's also going to be verticality there as well, especially around the classroom area. Can be, again, pretty spicy. Pretty spicy. Want to know how Nemesis are going to approach this. Will they go and clear that top floor? Again, it's confusing to me that they're not going there first. They did this last round. They just completely were like, let's just not even bother. When they had for utility last time, this time they don't really have as much utility to benefit them with the verticality. And it's like, okay, we'll just go directly upstairs then. Go for that jugular and just do what you can.
Yeah. I want to say it feels like Nemesis doesn't know how to approach this, but they probably have. I feel like this is like Randy's being so strong that Nemesis is being hesitant to do anything, really. Like you said, it should be, okay, well, we want to play vertically. Let's get top control. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it's like Nemesis are like, yeah, but what if someone's hiding there? That's a good showing, though. Suddenly, Nemesis is taking the lead. I believe for the first time this entire game, when it comes to actual player count in it, then Kurgan completely equalizes the scoreline. Lewis going to try it. No, whiffs the SMG 11 shot. XX Bonneton's going to get out just by the skin of their teeth and get a little bit stuck on the soft destroyed wall as well. But there we go, 3 on 3.
I will say again, like some of these angles are a little bit aggressive on the side of Randy's where they don't really need to be. They can kind of pull back and let them fall into a false sense of security, essentially, especially when it comes to this site. All of them slow and try batten now in a 2v3. That's going to be a bit tricky for Adalia, though. She is indeed going to fall, getting aggressive there onto the stage area. So it's worth down to Toxic Barbie and Expolitan. And I mean, they're kind of a little bit split up, but so are these defenders. The plant is going to go down. Expolitan firmly pumping it down where she sees fit. And again, because of that, Lua once again running into a Claymore. They are really catching her off guard with this utility.
Oh, good try, Batten. That was huge. 20 seconds remaining. I don't know if Toxic Barbie's position is known. He's going to have to get a shift on now. Try, Batten. I'm going to try and rotate round. And this, of course, is the strength of the Aruni. All right, there's a soft wall in front of me.
Oh, that angle.
I'm just going to open it up. But there's already one for her. This long angle all the way through the site. Got through, just at the right time, but it's going to have to succeed. Use Try Batten doesn't need to go aggressive. Can just wait the clock down. And Randy's, they've just won on all 4 sides.
You know what? That was such a clever rotation to make, because it's like not only do you then get all of the sound and kind of you do have a nice bit of control over that kitchen area, that long light of sight, you know exactly where the diffuser is, you know exactly where they're going to push from. You do not have to move. That was the play. That was 100% the play. Very, very clever. And again, just spraying a bit. Yes, either you kill them, or if you don't, they at least are going to be distracted long enough that they're not going for that diffuser, and it's going to let you win because that timer has gone down.
Okay. The Thunderbird. Well, I'm loving it at the moment. I've actually managed to squirrel away a little time of actually being able to play some Siege for once. And I just absolutely love her. She's so fun. I feel like so unique in her style and what she brings to the team. We saw, of course, ages weeks ago, but the Rook Thunderbird combination was great. But then, of course, with the Oryx, suddenly Oryx can start dashing through all the walls and just keep dashing through walls. Oryx never needs to stop. Just needs to come back to Thunderbird to get a little bit of help. So, interesting. Another combination that works quite well. But at the moment, Randy's, you're 4-0 up. You've won at every single site. You're very, very confident in your ability, almost too confident at this point because you're taking hyper-aggressive fights, but you're still winning anyway. Like, I feel like Nemesis's way in is either suddenly massively stepping up, which is possible, but that requires getting everyone on the same page, or taking advantage of Randy's just getting too confident and really, really punishing them for it.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the a bit more aggressive on this double window. I do really like it when people try and give it the old razzle-dazzle there. There's a lot of utility to deal with though, but at the same time, the Capitao being there is quite a nice little edge, I think, because you do have the smoke utility, cover the plant if you fancy going for that, or there's also the firebolt utility to pull people out of any particular corners, especially on that double window Nova. You know, people like to go in that corner right by the bunk bed. And if you've got that flame bolt there, that's very, very useful.
The Capitao's an operator which we don't see as much as we used to. If you were to define soft support as a role, it's Capitao. Okay. How on earth did Lua get away with that one? It was just sees an opportunity, just goes for it, pulls the trigger, and Nemesis have no idea what's just happened, but at least there is a reply. Lua is finally taken down.
I feel the aggression coming from Lua this game. I cannot deal. Sometimes she gets punished for it, sometimes not. But oh my goodness gracious, she should not have got away with just waltzing into trophy like that. And it was almost lazy how easy that kill was for her, to be honest. But we do move on, and again, that's unfortunate because it's the hard breach completely off the board, and they are going to have to go for a more direct collapse now through some very, very tight choke points, and that's going to be very uncomfortable for the attack.
It's Capitao flame bolts. Very, very good for that AoE area of denial. The spray through Tribatter not quite getting a lineup, so he's going to have to back off. Nemesis are starting to pinch that trap, using that utility to their advantage, but Amy Lee is just destroying them, got the lineup. There's nothing they can really do. Dry has to get that headshot. It's just not quite connecting. And this is kind of disastrous for Nemesis. They had everything going for them with a setup. Finally, a kill goes their way, but it's 3-on-3. Still 30 seconds remaining. They need to find these kills. Otherwise, their plant is not going to be able to go down. Amy Lee just on the flank. How is she on white stairs? Why is she here? Behind them. This is not being checked, and she just has to hold on. Looks the wrong way at the last split second. Rifle Gen takes her down, but with 9 seconds, this should be it for Randy's. They should have this round in the bank. There's nothing they can do. Maggie closes it down.
It's getting a little bit filthy, if I'm honest. Like, I'm kind of just sat here with my mouth like wide open, because there is a lot of aggression coming through from both sides. Especially from that defense. And this is the interesting thing. It's interesting seeing how aggressive Randys are being this evening, especially when you consider, yes, they have the slight advantage here by starting on defense. And I often say, don't I, Novi, that if you are on defense, that's the best opportunity to be aggressive. Not on attack, on defense. Again, the attackers, they have their plan in their head, their step A, B, C, where they want to go to each little point of the map. And they're ticking it off as they go. If you suddenly spring up out of nowhere and you're in an unusual place or a place they're not expecting you to be, that puts an absolute spanner in the works. And if they can't land their shots, then you are taking that and you're winning your one. And you are just whittling them down one by one. And that is completely the kind of style that Randys are going for this evening.
Absolutely. Because of that, I'm sure in every single round, they've got the opening kill. Almost without fail. Maybe there's a reply after this trade, but it's almost always fallen in the hands of Randy's. And then from there, Nemesis basically starts every single round off at a disadvantage. Which makes attacking even harder because of, like, you know, defenders can be purely reactive. The clock's not ticking down for them, it's ticking down for the attackers. They can just sit back and let them come to Nemesis. Go aggressive at the beginning, get that kill, and then suddenly Nemesis' job becomes that much harder, and they can just chill out, force them into an unfavorable situation, and kind of have fun with it. It's very, very good. More importantly, confident siege from Randy's with the mechanical ability to back it up.
Yeah, 100%. And again, if you look at the kind of KD differences between both sides right now, it's kind of like, you know, Rodalia is putting in a lot of work for her team right now. She's the one that seems to be getting the most kills, but on the side of Randy's, it's all very nicely evenly spread out a little bit. Like a smooth chocolate spread. I can feel you judging me. I don't know where that came from. And the silence doesn't make me feel any better about it, Novi.
Like a smooth chocolate spread, like orange juice without bits in it. That's what it's like. I'm understanding. Vaguely, I think I'm on the same wavelength. But there we go. Nemesis finally get the opening kill, make that 2 for relatively nothing, and now you've got the clash, which sure is a great source of information, but you've got 2 less guns to fly around that operator. And is Nemesis finally going to win a round? And of all rounds, a basement take at that. They're quite split at the moment, but this is a really, really good position to be in.
Absolutely, but again, they do have a lot of utility to come up against. You have got the clash there, which is a giant wall, essentially, and it's so easy to be aggressive when you have a teammate that is playing an operator like Clash. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to try Batten, going to start going for these picks from a point of safety whilst they're distracted by Amy there with the giant shield. The only thing I'm concerned about is the front of that site. Well, there we go. There we have it. They finally reacted to that Expolitan coming down the main basement laundry stairs. There's also potentially pressure coming through from laundry as well, to the part where it is going to spread them out a little bit, and this could be Nemesis's chance.
Nope. It's actually... There we go. The clash goes down. The 2 P10 Ronies have lost their armor, lost their wall. That's a nice kill on Expolitan. Gogan follows up, and okay, this is getting a little bit dicey, but Try is looking the wrong way. Gets turned inside out by Drydalia. And now it's up to Kogan, who somehow got one with the C4 as well, so making things a little more competitive. Not much HP. Diffuser's going down. Has to hit the headshot right here. Down's Dry. This is doable. It's just the Thermite left in a 1-on-1. The Mozzie slowly making their way around, but knows the time pressure is on. They're within spitting distance of each other. Gonna swing the corner, and there we go. Nemesis take their first round, the last round of the attacking side.
Absolutely, and again, Vovak really did come down to the nail, considering that, you know, it did look like they had a significant advantage halfway through then, but a little bit rocky towards the end. But again, it's going to be a long, long uphill battle now for Nemesis to pull these rounds back in their favor. For Randy's, they're going to want to secure this. That's a Shropshire of me coming out there. They're going to want to take these next 2 rounds as quick as possible and secure this win.
Able to do something with the operator, doesn't die in the first 15 seconds. Still died fairly quickly, but at least traded 1 for 1. Melusi going down, not the biggest deal in the world, but now we're seeing the pressure applied by the Lion. As Dry Batten roars, Expolitan goes down, another one falls. Dry, Maggie just completely decimating Nemesis. That's in the tank, and suddenly the Jaeger and Bandit caught in Attic. Their position detonations known as well. Yin Candela is detonating. There is sounds all around, but that's the diffuser drops. I'm not sure if Toxic Barbie knows. There's potential here with half the round remaining. They've just got a lot of utility to work against.
Yeah, and again, this utility really indicates aggression. They are not, putting the stops out right now. They're not putting those brakes on. Randy's still going in with that aggression, even on their attack. The utility they're bringing, Ying, Lion, Amaru, especially considering the fact that we saw a Amaru pick from that first initial Amaru rush into Armory. That is, again, a very aggressive strategy coming through from Randy's, and certainly that momentum they've set for this game isn't going anywhere. They are here to carry on the way that they've been playing precisely, even though, again, sometimes a little bit trickier to get aggressive on that attack. But again, for Nemesis, how do you combat that? Ideally, this is ironic, really, that they need to bring their own uh, counter utility to the table there. And the best way to deal with aggressive rushes like that is actually, ironically, trap operators.
Oh, I saw the black bit and was like, "Ugh," but it got swapped off onto the IQ. Okay, understandable, understandable. And yeah, the trap operators. So we're seeing the Legion come in, which is a out of the trap operators is probably, I want to say not one of the strongest, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades. The goo mines are being invisible, or at least having like camouflage and being very hard to see. It's more chance of success. You're really going off the sound cue more than anything. But also, we've seen Nemesis when they want to, they can spring forward in a good, if the scenario fits them. So if they hear a goo mine pop off, of course, that person's going to pull the needle out. That presents an opportunity where Nemesis themselves can go aggressive rather than just being the recipient of Randy's aggression.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I suppose what could have been quite interesting here is when you think about the defensive bans, there's still a lot of utility that could have been brought here, again, to deal with those Ying, things like that, to deal with a lot of throwable utility that we're going to see coming through from Randy. You could have had an extra cheeky Wamai on the board, so at least recovering as much of a site as possible with that kind of counter utility, that kind of, okay, fine, throw these Candelas in, but they're going to get zipped or yeeted away. Dahlia, however, the first to fall to Lua yet again getting aggressive there. On the Ayana, nonetheless, though, we do stam it. Maggie's going to start making her way down Freezer, as Sashi is going to fall to Maggie. There we are, Novi. I mean, never say never, but a 3 versus 5 match point could all be over for Nemesis right now.
Yep, fairly quick game. Make that another coffin. Another coffin? Another nail in the coffin, but you're going to need lots of coffins at this point. Oh my lord, this is disgusting. Poor Toxic Barbie doesn't even see what's hit her. Like, it's just flashed, blinded, completely taken out. And there we go. Randy's taking that first game in a very, very convincing fashion. I mean, like, some might say that over-aggression using those kind of operators, it's they might say, oh, it's a little bit disrespectful. You're not treating them with respect. If you can execute with it, I'm all here for it. Like, I respect the hell of any team who can pull off a strat like that and also execute it to a decent level. It's one thing to pick operators you haven't played and then sort of wing it. It's another thing to pick something and then make it work. And I'm a fan for it. Congratulations, Randy. 7-1. That's going to help at the top of the table with that round differential.
100%. And again, it's the interesting thing for me, I feel, is that if I was dealing with a team that was being that aggressive on their attack, I'd be like, okay, what will they bring for their defense, rather? What would they bring for their attack? Because it's this idea of, okay, if they're playing like that on their defense, do they expect us to play like that on their defense? So they're going to bring a ton of utility to counteract that. It's kind of fight fire with fire. But again, yeah, Randy's just came into that attacking half where they already had the significant round differential. They did have breathing room if they wanted to be a bit more by the book and things like that, but they just carried on with the strat they wanted to do. Super aggressive, tons of aggressive utility, tons of flashes, global utilities, the Amaru, like, goodness gracious. If I was Nemesis, I'd just be a bit shell-shocked from what just happened, to be honest. But yeah, at the same time, sometimes it just be like that. Sometimes it really do.
Sometimes it does be like that. 7-1 to Randy's. Nemesis, unfortunately, unable to get that victory on the board. Randy's seriously needed that point differential as well, so that's done them a lot of favors.